Hey, tervetuloa. Welcome to this episode of International Business from Finland with me, Mark Wiltshire, where I take you behind the scenes of my solo enterprise or toiminimi in Finnish, working with directors and business owners of Finnish companies, sharing your workload so that you can focus on growing your business. And this episode is not strictly work related. It's a subject that I've been planning to talk about for some time. I even planned to make a podcast mini-series about it for my Explore Finland radio show podcast, but that hasn't happened yet. But I've set myself a target of applying for Finnish citizenship in 2021, and I thought I'd share with you my study plan. The International Business from Finland podcast with Mark Wiltshire. Talking international sales, entrepreneurship, and making connections between Finnish companies, entrepreneurs, and workers migrating to Finland. For those of you that don't know my background, I've been living in Finland now for 12 and a half years, and I now live in Seinäjoki with my wife Satu, our collection of teenagers, and Boris the dog. And when I moved here, I brought my job with me from the UK and carried on working from home, managing customer accounts across the Nordics. And I didn't go through any kind of integration program where I was given Finnish language course. And even when I was made redundant from that job in 2013, I went to the unemployment office and I was offered a course that started in early 2014, but by that time I'd already started working for myself, having co-founded Explore. As a Brit, I had the freedom to move to Finland as an EU citizen, and that right has been in place until the end of this year, 2020, when the effects of the Brexit referendum will start to have a real life consequences for me and other British citizens living in the EU. And this will range from minor inconveniences when travelling to, major restrictions on the freedom to move and relocate like I did before. I'm currently facing the uncertainty of having a different passport with stricter travel rights than everyone else in my household. And children, wife, her children, probably even the dog has got better travel rights than I have. So in summer 2020, I was talking to Paul and Giuliano, two of my partners in WISE, the Work Integration for Immigrants service that I've mentioned previously. We were waiting for someone to join a meeting with us, and Giuliano said, "So Mark, when are you going to apply for Finnish citizenship?" My natural reaction was to respond with all my usual excuses about wanting to apply but not being able to pass the UKI language test. "Okay," Giuliano replied. "So, make a plan how to do it." He'd called my bluff and there was nothing else to do but say, "All right then, I will." And I did. But first, maybe I'll just explain a little about this UKI test. It's the Yleinen kielitutkinto, or National Certificate of Language Proficiency, UKI, YKI. The National Certificate of Language Proficiency is a language test for adults. It's an official way to demonstrate your competence in a language. The test assesses your knowledge of language in everyday situations, so not about knowing specialist jargon, for example. The UKI system is the official language proficiency test of Finland, and this certificate serves a variety of purposes, but you can use it, for example, to demonstrate your language skills when you apply for a job or a place of study, or to demonstrate your language proficiency to acquire Finnish citizenship. My situation, and this can be done in Finnish and Swedish. I'll put a link into the show notes where that previous text came from, the Finnish National Agency for Education. The link's there. You'll find that if you want to read a bit more detail. So what's my plan for passing the UKI test? I wanted something that would be manageable but also give me regular practice at all the 4 components of the test: the speaking, writing, listening comprehension and reading comprehension. My listening and speaking skills are not amazing, but they're not bad. I can read Finnish, although if the text gets a bit technical, maybe I struggle. Writing, though, is going to be my weakest discipline, so my study plan will also need to work on this. This is the plan that I put together for myself, and again, you can see this in the show notes. So every day I will use the Duolingo app, which is now available in Finnish to English. Every day I will listen to the Finnish news in simple Finnish podcast. It's Yle Uutiset selkosuomeksi. And also they have on Yle TV there's a daily news show in simple Finnish. And I'm going to spend more time just using Finnish at home with my stepsons, but also in everyday life when the situation comes up. Lead with Finnish. I can do it. Once a week, I'm going to have these Finnish-English tandem conversations with my wife's friend, Riikka. Thanks, Riikka. We meet once a week for approximately 50 minutes where I can practice speaking Finnish with her, and then halfway through we'll switch and she can practice speaking English with me. But we can both do it in a safe space. We're both as good or as bad as each other. I'm also, from October, so from actually a couple of weeks ago now, started evening classes at a local kansalaisopisto or community college. I started with Suomi 2, Finnish level 2. I did the Finnish one some years ago, and I think I can go back in a little bit higher. I don't need to start from scratch now. But I want to make sure I'm learning like the structure of the language, not just to be able to speak and to listen, but also be able to sort of read better and certainly write better. And I also have an idea about reading once a week, reading a few articles from one of the local newspapers, maybe Epari, seeing as they very kindly put my newspaper column out a few times this year. Read an article and write a brief summary of it, showing some kind of comprehension. Although, I must confess, I haven't started this yet. There's been quite a bit going on already, I think. Then, in early 2021, I will do another course, Suomea verkossa course, to actually prepare for the UKI test. Or maybe find out that I've got more work to do before I can start preparing for the UKI test. Let's see how that goes. I've noticed, though, some immediate benefits. I have some English conversation customers who I meet with weekly or monthly to practice their English. So I understand the benefits, I've seen it with them, of using a language regularly. I was surprised, though, that my confidence just increased after just one session speaking with Riikka. I immediately found that Finnish came to my tongue more instinctively than before when I was in public. I've had phone calls in Finnish, arranging a sales meeting that led to an order. I've spoken Finnish in front of a group of about 40 Finns and non-Finns. I even held a customer meeting, almost 90% in Finnish, although I did have a helper there just for those moments where we got stuck, which was handy. The Duolingo app is useful as well. It's not going to teach you Finnish, but I'm practicing working with the language, especially paying attention to the letters that have the dots above them, and when listening and writing. It's kind of getting that daily use of working with the language. I'm sure I wouldn't learn the whole language this way, but it's certainly it's part of this thing that's helped loosen me up a bit, ready for when I started kansalaisopisto at the end of September. So why am I telling you all this? I'm sharing this to make a public record of my commitment to pass this test. Hopefully next year, but if not next year, then why not the year after? You can keep me honest. Some of you listening to this know me. We've talked about certain episodes in the past. So if you meet me in person, feel free to test my progress. Unless you're one of my English conversation customers. You don't get out of it that easily. You have to speak English with me. And if you want to improve your spoken English, feel free to reach out and contact me. I'll give my contact details at the end. Once you hear my Finnish, maybe you won't be quite so embarrassed about using your English. Maybe. So as is usual, on podcasts, I'm going to ask you to rate and review this show. I've made it easier to you, so just head over to ratethispodcast.com/Wiltshire. You can leave a review and a rating for this podcast. And also, if you found this podcast useful or interesting or maybe inspiring, if you need to work on your Finnish or maybe on your English, then whatever way it's been useful for you, feel free to buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Wiltshire. As I'm planning to become a Finn, or at least partly a Finn, then what better way to help me integrate fully than pouring me a few cups of thick black filter coffee. Much appreciated. If you want to contact me, feel free to reach out at mark.wiltshire.tmi@gmail.com. Thanks as always to Mark from the outstanding Dodo Bones for the theme music. You'll find a link to their website, dodobones.co.uk, in the show notes. And that's it for now. So, until next episode, thanks for listening. Bye-bye.